Hi, welcome to my new video. In this video I'm gonna talk about immutable Linux distros in regards of audio production, music creation, etc. Let's go! In the last years, the talk about immutable distros has grown tremendously. And I mean, yeah, there are some varied opinions that split. Some really like it, some really love it, others really hate it, and most of us have not really put that much effort in getting to know these immutable distros. Now, immutable distros are per se a great idea. For example, for someone who is rather unexperienced with Linux and really doesn't go out of his way and risk breaking his or her system. Even though I really need to say is, if you're working on a non-Arch based system, I think the immutability is a bit overkill, because most people, what might they do is maybe go and check, okay, how to install the VLC player, how to install packages, okay, etc. And most of them will just refer to the, shipped with the desktop interface, the App Store. May it be the Software Center, may it be Discover, or whatever. So they might be working in a rather restrained package environment, let's just say. Debian, Ubuntu user, Fedora users, etc. And I'm not here to complain about immutable distros or say that one is better than the other. I just personally prefer working on mutable systems, even though I really like the idea of containerization, of installing subsystems inside your Linux system, which, immutable distros like Silverblue or BlendOS, SteamOS. I mean, SteamOS is optional case because, most of you will just use it for gaming, but in containerizations you can install an Arch subsystem, for example, on a Fedora system. I have done this system. This is actually my setup, where I install inside my Fedora-based system an Arch Linux container, into which I install Repartov, Musicproduction, and also all the audio plugins. So what am I trying to tell you? What kind of problems could you be stumbling across if you're working with immutable distros? And yes, I'm well aware that not all immutable distros handle immutability the same. What am I trying to say? Some immutable distros are giving you some more leeway, let's just say, than others. Some give you the option of layering in packages, so to install them as natively as possible on an immutable system. Now, this video would be getting off track if I talk about that in more detail. But what kind of things would work on such a system setup, and which things would not work? Installing different containers would be no problem. And installing packages into them would also not be a problem. So installing the Repartov, etc., setting it up, then installing audio programs, plugins, Wine compatibility for Yardbridge, for example. So this might not be even an issue. But first of all, the type of kernel the system is utilizing would be of importance. So this immutable distro, what kind of kernel is it using? Because you are not able to change that. So if it's a stable kernel or Zen kernel, okay, you're good and fine. On LTS kernel, for example, things might work, but you might stumble across some issues. And if you have a system with a hardened kernel, then yeah, it's not really be that great of an experience for you. But then again, then you would also have the problem of, for example, the real-time privileges, maybe some kernel settings, maybe some optimizations, etc. Because again, system settings and kernel level settings, or close to the kernel settings, need to be modified on your host system, not inside the container. And this already could be problematic if you are working on an immutable distro, because in order, for example, some audio plugins to work, you need to provide them real-time privileges, which means more access to your hardware, so they can focus, so that they can work better, with better latency, better performance, and better stability. And since an immutable system is as the name would imply, immutable, you cannot modify it. All the different audio setups might already be falling flat in this step here. Or there might be some options that could be modified on your host system, but after the next update, because of its immutable nature, everything would be deleted. So having a long-term stable setup would be quite problematic. You can work with containers without any issues on a mutable system, like I am. And if you're not working on an Arch-based system, stability might never really become a proper issue, because you can still install everything inside a container and then only modify your system when needed. So setting up lower latency system tweaks might become impossible. And for music production, it would be essential. If you're working with experimental audio hardware, for example, and you need to install extra software, it might be rather problematic. It doesn't need to be, but it's definitely more risky than working on a mutable distro. So are you working with a mutable or immutable distro? Which one are you using? What kind of use case are you using them for? What's your experience? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Write it down in the description. I really am interested. And yeah, keep working, because there's still much to do, and go read Berserk.